The new European Bauhaus is moving from pilot projects to wide implementation and impact. We're scaling up. I've said this already in the beginning. We've got more than 700 projects already supported across Europe and beyond, while we want to maintain the 3 NEB values: sustainability, inclusion, and beauty. And this year, with a particular focus on strong citizen participation, on affordable housing, on quality neighborhoods and resilient communities. Now, it's of course nearly impossible to find someone who is an expert in precisely these fields. But will you believe there is one person who exactly fits this role? We found him, and he is here. We have the honor of welcoming him. So please put your hands together for the chair of the European Commission Housing Advisory Board, the high-level advocate for the Climate and Clean Air Coalition, and former Minister for the Environment in the Irish government from 2020 to 2025. It's Eamon Ryan.
Live up to that.
Easy. That's going to be easy. Hello, Mr. Ryan, or can I say Eamon?
Yeah.
Hello, Eamon. Thank you so much for joining us. I've been looking forward lots to talking to you. There is so much to discuss, so I'm going to dive right in, if that's okay. If you want to pour me a glass as well, that would be amazing. Thank you. Let's try to get to know you a little bit first. You are the chair of the European Commission's Housing Advisory Board. Can you, just in a few sentences, explain to us what is the role of the board, and also maybe what the main priorities or recommendations are that are emerging from this work so far?
Well, good morning, everyone. The board is made up of 15 people, citizens from across the Union, and they come from a variety of backgrounds. A lot of people, architects or specialists in urban planning and housing, people from a finance background. I come from the political world background. Yes. And it's a common mechanism. The European Union, when it's looking at something new, has this mechanism. We set up a parliamentary committee with the European Council. But what the European Commission, the European system is, it also tends to set up what you might almost call a jury. It's a citizen jury in a sense. A group of 15 experts, but not with not just there as citizens, to assist the Commission in this new policy goal. And this came from President von der Leyen in this new mandate, recognizing our affordable housing crisis, and it is a crisis, is the biggest threat to our confidence in our democratic systems, into our, well, I think it's an intergenerational threat, because a younger generation coming up, they see the contract broken, that they cannot access housing in the same way that their parents did. And it has particular pressure in certain areas, particularly in cities right across the Union. It exists in so many ways in different countries across the Union. And that's matched at the same time when you have large areas of our Union where actually it's the exact opposite, where we have depopulation, where housing is really low value, and that pressure on both, on the cities under pressure and on areas which are losing people, has to be addressed. So von der Leyen set the goal that this new work for our Union to assist national governments and local governments was at the centre of the work of the European Union now. Our job, we only started a year ago, was to advise the task force, which we did in a report, and we're continuing to work in that way. The task force published the Affordable Plan last December, and now we have to deliver on it. We have to deliver on it for European citizens, for the strength of our Union, but also for the everyday quality of life, particularly, I would argue, for a younger generation who've been let down by the failure of us to deliver the quality and the volume and the affordable housing that we need.
Do you feel that personally?
I do. I mean, I'm of the older generation. I have my home. I'm out the other side, but I've four young children they're not children, they're in their 20s. And anyone, I think we can all see that. In that generation, my 20-year-old sons and daughter, yeah, I can see it. Dublin, where I come from, is an incredible example of the problems we have in that regard. Housing is incredibly expensive compared to what it was when I bought my house. But it's not just Dublin. It's fascinating in this work on the Housing Advisory Board. It's the same in Lisbon, if not worse. It's the same in Madrid. It's the same in Milan.
I reckon many people here today recognise this from their own environments, wherever you're from. Yes.
Same in Amsterdam.
Same in Amsterdam, yes.
You could go on.
Yeah.
So yes, I do feel it.
Yes. In the work that you do, could you give me maybe one or two examples of where you see alignment with the values of the new European Bauhaus?
Well, I think in our Housing Advisory Board, it was very interesting because, so responding to that crisis, you tend to, maybe you have different perspectives. And one perspective would be, we have to just deregulate, we have to get rid of all the rules, don't worry about planning, just build.
Yes.
Numbers, quantity, get everything built. And if we could just get rid of all the planning and other rules, then we could build quicker. There is another perspective, and I can understand where some people are coming from when they say that, out of the frustration as how slow and expensive it is to build. But it was interesting in our advisory board, which is kind of comes together, we didn't know each other, but in thinking and talking through this, we came to a collective conclusion that actually you can't take that approach. You have to think quality. You have to think community and neighbourhood and how you improve a local environment as well as providing the quantity of housing we need. And in that, I think we were really fully aligned with what the new European Bauhaus is about.
And also I think when it comes to sustainability, because some argue, that's what I see, maybe less for yourself, that environmental requirements also increase housing costs. Therefore, Europe must choose either between affordable buildings or sustainable buildings. What say you?
Well, I said a caveat, first of all, I come from a green political background, so you're not going to be surprised with what I'm about to say. But actually, we collectively agreed the same. Go back to that key point you made. Like, what is the housing crisis? Where is it? The pinch point is around the cost.
Yeah.
Because it's not that you can't get something, but it's just out of people's reach. And then the real question is, how do you measure cost? How do you define cost?
Yes.
And you could take a sort of a narrow definition of cost. It's just, what is the price of the house or what is the rent? And that is super important. People have to be able to afford.
Sure.
But actually, the cost of your home is also determined how much does it cost to run it? What are your heating bills? The cost also determined by how long do I have to commute if I have to get to work? I mean, okay, I may have a house, but if I have an hour commute, let's say, 2 hours a day, that's a cost.
Yes.
If the cost also is to your health, if you're in an area where because it's air pollution or noise pollution or an unhealthy local environment, that is a cost. And I think it's really important, yes, we have to have a laser focus on cost and bringing it down, but not to forget that that's defined by the lifetime cost, including your lifetime, the quality of your lifetime, that is a critical cost that we need to bring down, as well as the level of rent, as well as the upfront cost of buying a house, if you can afford to.
Yes, for sure. And we could even look at a more broader perspective and go into what it costs for us, well, really to our house, which is our planet, on a very long term. That it will also, if we just continue building, emitting all the time, that we will not have a home to live on, which is our planet.
That's true. And I think the environmental movement, I think it's a difficult challenge because we have these huge problems. Global warming is such a big concept. And what can I do about it? It's like carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's really difficult. But if you actually bring it back home to think, okay, whatever about, let's think the big global issues, but what can I do in my own, to improve my home, my community, my area, my neighborhood? And that's not to do it in a way where you're putting all the responsibility of the world on your purchase decisions or your lifestyle decisions. but to focus on improving our local environment and doing that in a way that helps address the global is the only way.
Yeah.
And it's about improving everyday quality of life. It's also, I would argue, this key point. It's also about building a home that it's a sense of a community.
Yeah.
It's not just a gated, barricaded off, I'm secure in my safe
I'm good.
space.
Yes.
In this world, which is so scary at the moment because of what's going on in the wider world, the speed of technological advance, all the sense of the uncertainties we face, if we can focus on creating a sense of pride and connection to local place, that I think will be one of the key ways in moving away from a divisive politics or a sense of lack of faith in our democratic constitutional systems,
Yes.
particularly local government. I was really impressed with our Brussels
Yes.
Secretary of State,
Yeah.
Audrey,
Audrey, yeah.
because that pride in place and that pride and that sense of building community. So the definition of home isn't just my four walls.
No.
It's the neighborhood.
Yes.
It's the sense of connection to people around me. And I think getting that right is the first step to addressing the bigger, wider environmental challenges we face.
So many questions about this because I agree. I think you're very right, but it's also difficult in the sense that is it realistic to create neighborhoods when we have a limited resource? Land is limited. Is it realistic to create neighborhoods which are at the same time greener, more livable, affordable, resilient, and creating this sense of community that we all feel is needed, especially in this time?
And especially because to address particularly the issues about the high price of housing in our cities,
Yes.
we need denser development. You need high density development
Yeah.
to be able to have the
Yes.
housing, particularly in those areas under stress in cities. So that then makes it all the more important. If we're going to have denser development, it has to be a really attractive environment.
Yeah.
It's much easier if you're in a one-off house in the country or if you're in a suburban, leafy suburb somewhere. That environment is much easier to be a greener environment, to be a naturally beautiful environment. The focus has to be on how not only do we create more housing, but create it in denser development communities that are also beautiful, connected to nature.
Yeah.
We will not force people to it in terms of, if you're going to go from an unsustainable point A to away from unsustainable point B, you have to have a better alternative. You have to advance. You can't just do this by retreat or restriction. I believe what we're seeing in cities particularly, in Europe especially, and spreading elsewhere around the world, is a recognition that you can do it better.
Yeah.
It starts, in my mind, by moving away from a car-dominated system.
Yes.
Like in my lifetime, that was the exact opposite. People were still putting motorways through cities, destroying a sense of the urban environment. We have seen that that does not work.
No.
The mathematics of car congestion does not work as a transport system, but it kills local environment.
And it also kills your sense of your local belonging because
Completely.
you keep moving away from where you are.
And I know, and so if you then start switching towards a transport system that starts with the pedestrian,
Yes.
starts with the thought that if you're holding the hand of a 5-year-old child and you let go, they're not going to be killed, not be terrified.
Yeah.
And then creating a transport system orientated around first pedestrians, cycling, public transport, rather than the car. And that's not anti-motorist. It's just recognizing that a car-based system will not work for anyone in the end. One of the advantages of that is that as you move in that direction, you start to create public space. You take space away from parking for cars or from roadway lanes, and you start greening cities. You start putting in trees and parks and quieter areas. And it works. It works better.
Yeah.
And I think then you can also have more housing and more affordable housing in those same locations.
to be able to change to a system that is built around ideas such as this, you need, I think, to be able to also include citizens and have them involved in this change, right? Well, I think that's also one of the values from the New European Bauhaus, is that participation of citizens is crucial to be able to make these changes happen, especially from underrepresented groups. In your experience, how can we stimulate this involvement, especially in these times where, let's say, participation starts to become slightly less, I'd say. I think we worried a little bit about our democratic participation.
It's a complicated question because one of the problems we have in we've created what they call the financialization of housing.
Yes.
It becomes
Yes.
your most important capital asset.
Yes.
It's your wealth, it's your
Yes.
pension,
It's your pension, yeah.
it's your inheritance to your next children.
Yeah.
And in that environment, the first thing maybe you want to do is to say, well, I don't want anyone else building around me. I don't want to undermine my lovely house by other people coming in. And part of our problem in terms of being able to build quickly and make the changes we need to make is that we tend to have a lot of public opposition anytime you want to advance
Yes.
a new housing project. And that is a real issue that we have to. So there's that strange contradiction that I absolutely agree that it won't work, this move towards a better cities, particularly, if it's not bottom up, if it doesn't belong to the people. Yeah. But at the same time, we have to avoid where we have those who've already got property
Yes.
pulling up the ladder and stopping anyone else being able to get the same. How do we do that is really challenging. But I think it is possible. And I think it's a political issue. It is ultimately, our political systems is the mechanisms for deciding those questions, deciding allocation of space and so on. And I do think, first and foremost, as New European Bauhaus now goes from 5 years growing, proving, testing, learning, now to deploying everywhere, the most important issue that we're going to need to get that right is a sense of political ownership. Yeah. The sense of what we heard Audrey speaking about today. Yes. Leadership, yes, in consultation, yes, absolutely in a participative process, but also not being afraid to make brave decisions and to actually steer, and particularly at local government. That's where these decisions are made. You can't make it in Brussels for what goes on in a city on the other side of the union. And you can't even in national government wave your wand. It has to be political leadership at a local level. Yes. And that virtuous circle where people see it working and then look for political leadership and vote for political leadership which will take it further is probably the most important thing we need. And particularly on a common cause of serving a younger generation. Yes. Is where we need to go.
But then we do need political leadership that's inspirational, that is bringing people together as opposed to polarizing people. We do need political leadership that, if we're honest, is slightly different from some of the leadership that we have in place in many European countries at the moment.
Yeah, we need the centre we need the centre not just to hold, but we need the centre to build.
And to be courageous,
yeah,
I'd say.
Courageous in how we build, and how we build quickly and quality. I think we can do it.
I think we can do it.
I think our President von der Leyen has shown real leadership on this. Yeah. She really pushed the New European Bauhaus and installation. She turned up here last week and still speaking with that same sense of vision. So yeah, from the top, we have it. And I don't think it's impossible. No. I think in some ways you get into the virtuous circle because when you create those strong community spaces, then that distrust in politics, that division in politics reduces. And I don't think this belongs to any one political grouping.
No.
It's a conservative as well as a progressive view of the world.
I think it's wrong to frame this as a progressive or either leftist issue.
Yeah,
sure.
No, I think it should belong to everyone.
Yeah.
We have a common understanding of the need to create these housing for our next generation.
Yes.
So why would that belong to one person or another?
No. I have one last, quite short question for you. When will we see you back on the political stage to make this happen?
No, I've hung up my political boots. I would say one thing. I was minister up to January last year, and then I didn't run for election. And part because I led a party for 14 years, and that was long enough. And I've been in Parliament for a long time, minister twice. I loved being in politics. I would say encourage anyone to go into politics, to do this work, because it fundamentally changes. Politics is a fantastic work to do, because it changes your mindset from they should do something to we should do something. But anyway, I did my bit. I'm still involved. I'm very much involved in climate diplomacy, and I'm very proud to be doing this work for the European Commission on the Housing Advisory Board. But I'm now post-politics.
We're very happy with the work that you're doing.
Great.
Thank you so much for being here and for all your work prior and now. Eamon, Ryan, thank you so much. Here at this stage, we'll do a quick change to prepare for the next panel, so we'll be back in a few moments with clean transition for and through culture. Bear with us for just a few moments.